here we go. Let's get hype.
Do we spawn in the same place just so they get only one explosion?
Yeah.
Where do you spawn? One?
Yep. Wow, it's quite a rocky planet. Quite a lot of mountains.
Yeah. Love terrain features. They really make for an interesting game. You know, we were talking about this before the game, and I think that it's one of those things that Skathis was talking about at Uber, where he would actually like to see more terrain features because it gives you opportunities to use one of his favorite, and I know one of yours, structures, the wall. Shall we talk about the changes with the wall and what it might mean?
Let's start to the second. Just a little intro to the situation.
Sure.
So they spawned apart across a mountain range. So there's actually quite a lot of obstruction between the two teams. You can get a couple of campers to sneak through around the south. And looking at the mass points, going to have a little bit of walking here for Gandalf. And you can see he's got a build order he's already planned out. First air to get out that scouting intel, and then a pretty early second bot factory to get out those fabbers. And Gunshin still using alpha strats here with the old 3 mechs power gen before the first factory. But you can see he's mixed it up here, building 3 mechs before the first power gen, so much lighter on power than you might usually. But evidently he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, you know, I think it's interesting. One of the changes that was in the new build was, as you're kind of hinting to, was a difference in the amount of storage that a commander has. He has a little bit more metal storage and a little bit more energy storage than he had before. So it really can change your build order to have those kinds of elements. And as you were pointing out, Gunshin was still going with the 3 mechs. And I actually think maybe just you can do 1 or 2 and get your start a little faster.
Yeah, I agree. I need to test it out, but as Gunshin's saying, I really would prefer just to go factory first and get the game just on the ground running.
Yeah, I think when Skathis made the change that he was looking to see if maybe a factory first would work. So it wouldn't surprise me to see if there were further balance changes to allow that, because then that really opens up the start of the game where, you know, one person can go factory first, and like depending on what factory you choose, whether it's air or bot or whatever, can make a big difference in then like what the next stages of the game look like.
Gunshin's mixed up his build order from last game. He's actually getting an engineer to assist the commander, getting out his power a little bit harder. Last game he got his engineers straight on mechs. Having a look over at Gandalf, he's now started his scouts, and he's going to move just a single power gen, then immediately onto that bot factory. And because he's not building engineers this early, he can afford to do that. Engineers, of course, drain your eco, so you need to be aware that they're going to impact your eco.
And coming right out after the scout here for Gandalf is Bomber. And we've been seeing a little bit of the 3 bomber strategy that you were talking about in the last game. Why don't you describe that in a little more detail?
So yeah, T1 bombers, they've got decent splash now. It got buffed from 2 to 5. So if you get 3 bombers, that's just about enough to kill the T1 fabrication bots in a single run. So you can get them over there and snipe a group of expanding engineers early on, which is obviously a very, very nice win.
Yeah, I'm not sure I quite caught it, but I think he has now scouted Gunshin. Gandalf has, that is. And with that being the case, yeah, you can see he's moved his scout into proximity to where Gunshin is, so he can check it out a little more closely. So with that early discovery, he's got kind of an opportunity here with those bombers.
Yep, he's manually scouting the outskirts of Gunshin's base now, so that he knows a good target for his bombers to send. He's got 2 bombers out at the moment. You can see him flying around with those fighters around the back of his base as well.
Yeah, I don't know if he's moving those around just to try to scout it a little bit more, or to just kind of make it a little more confusing what direction he came from. It's interesting that he brought that 1 bomber in by himself. I think that Gunshin's going to be onto him when he sees this bomber, and now he's got the second bomber coming in, but he lost it to the commander.
Yep, went too close to the commander. You've got to be very careful when you line up your bombing runs. You have to be careful where you're flying over before and after.
So I'm just going to look at the build changes over here. You know, Gandalf is still staying on 2 factories at this point. He's just building out with his commander primarily. He's not. I guess he's just now getting a fabrication bot out of the bot factory.
Gunshin's got a lot of build power out here. I'm a bit surprised he hasn't got out another anti-air turret. Those 3 engineers.
Yeah, this is a pretty big rush strategy here, I think, for Gandalf. Gunshin's, I see 7 fabricators even after the raid by those bombers, and now he's got a fighter out and he's just knocking them down. So I feel like Gunshin may be quite a bit ahead now.
Yeah, Gunshin got a big win there. He managed to take out a fighter without losing his own, which allowed him to take out those 2 T1 bombers, which is a pretty big win.
Counting 11 energy plants over here for Gunshin, and only 5 over here for, or no, 6, 7. Sorry, my bad. Over here for Gandalf. So that looks like definitely a power difference.
Yeah, and that's a good way early game is to know how far ahead someone is how many power gens they've got, because that's what limits your build power early on.
Yeah, there's actually about a similar ratio for the metal extractors.
And so that strat, it could have worked out much better for Gandalf. If he'd taken out some of these expanding engineers, it would have set Gunshin back, but Gunshin defended pretty well, got his fighters out, and completely didn't let that attack coming in.
Gunshin now bringing 3 fabricators over towards Gandalf's base. I don't think this is deliberate as a attempt to get in proximity. I think he's just going after these metal extractors. But it does represent an opportunity for harassment on either party's part. Like if he gets some defensive structures up here, he could really harass Gandalf quite a bit. Or if he leaves them unprotected, that could be just a juicy target in return.
Yeah, a bit of an unusual choice. Looking at Gunshin's point of view, though, you can see he hasn't actually scouted Gandalf's base and has no idea that he's literally just over that mountain.
That's right. He's got a scouting unit on the other. He's got several scouts on the other side of the planet, so he's really trying to find them, but he just hasn't. He's just missed out so far.
Yeah. It looks like he just overshot a little bit, look on the opposite side of the planet and not a little bit closer to home. But we see one fighter now flying over these engineers. He's going to get that intel he needs.
There he goes.
And work out what sort of stage Gandalf is in.
It'll be interesting to see how he reacts here. Oh, he got caused an immediate reaction here with these fighters from Gandalf. Yep. Gandalf has now discovered the fabricators, and still no bomber.
Out comes the bomber.
Here comes the bomber now.
Out comes the bomber. Chased down by the fighters though. Not hot enough. And more fighters coming in from Gunshin. Going to try and maintain air control here. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for more air factories. And having a look at Gunshin's base now, he's on to his 4th air factory being built. He's absolutely going to dominate the air in this situation.
Yeah, that seems very strong. And he boldly goes into Gandalf's base and builds himself first a metal extractor, and then he's like, oh, and how about a laser tower?
Yep. Commander now moving northwards from Gandalf to try and deal with that. You absolutely have to deal with it immediately. The longer you wait, the more turrets and walls they can get up and the more awkward they can make it.
Yeah, speaking of walls, he does have the idea of putting some the walls we were talking about earlier. The walls, as you pointed out to me, have 7,000 hit points now. So, yeah, there it goes.
6,000.
Oh, it's 6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other thing is those engineers can repair those walls instantly with 0 cost almost. So
well,
the commander has to be able to get in close.
Gandalf wisely targeted the engineers before the tower, and it looks like that threat is taken care of.
Gunshin going for fighters from 3 of his factories and bombers from 2, so he wants a mix of bombers as well. He's going to do harassment and get the build power that's inside Gandalf's base and impact his ability to make defenses.
And on the other side of the planet, proxy going up for Gandalf, but it has been overflown now by Gunshin, and so he's well aware that that kind of proxy expansion is in place.
Yep. So it's nice moves doing that, but it's just been scoured. We've got a couple of scampers coming in as well. One anti-air turret to defend should be okay.
And in Gandalf's base, more harassment by Gunshin's bombers. Gunshin's really got a lot of control here.
Putting up an anti-air turret for those engineers, that will help.
Yeah, there's an anti-air, but he's still building tanks instead of some anti-air. I know they're not the most efficient, but that's still, he's got build power he could be using to fight this battle that's going to something else.
I think that's okay at the moment. You really have to get units out. Minute 9 here, just starting unit production is a little bit late. I mean, do see these scampers coming in now.
Yeah, proving you right. They do have these the docks coming into from Gunshin's base, almost all the way to Gandalf's. Commander coming out to fight that as well, and there's that one tower doing pretty good work. It's going to take out the bulk of those early units.
I've got to say, it's awesome that we have the free cam back. I've been really missing that.
Yeah,
So
Ryan, I think that was part of
watch the commander.
the overall change in the celestial camera. Kind of knocked that out, and it was still always there. We just had to make sure that we had a way to enable it.
I can, however, see all my strategic icons from the opposite side of the planet.
Really? I'm not having that problem.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. You probably don't have strategic icons always on there.
I do not have them always on.
That'll be it. Getting out a couple more air factories for Gandalf to try and make up for this deficit he's got, but we see a few bombers here from Gunshin as well. Looks like he's going to concentrate on quite a bit of air harassment.
You know, around this time, I think
Gandalf's proxies working pretty well for him.
Yeah, I was kind of about to say, like, I'm looking to see when they're going to go for Tier 2, but then it turns out that over on the top side of Gunshin's base, he is going for Tier 2. I think Tier 2 obviously very useful for the economy. Do you think it's better to go for the ground Tier 2 as he's doing with his vehicle factory, or what do you think about air Tier 2 right now?
Well, it's a mixed bag. He's gone for advanced vehicle factory, which is an interesting choice. Personally, I think the advanced bot factory is now more powerful with the T2 bots. But it looks like he's actually probably going to go for levelers there rather than the bots. But yeah.
And on the
so
opposite side of the planet, there's a bombing run going on that proxy we were looking at a little bit ago.
Great work from Gunshin there with that harassment, denying those anti-air turrets as they go up.
Yeah, he's got those taken care of, and now there's just a few fabbers working on a metal extractor at this point. Just a little bit of diversion of attention. They're going now to build that missile turret to fight this, but I think it's going to be tough because the splash damage is going to take them all out at once.
Fighters moving in though from Gandalf, and he has more than enough to stop this attack actually and kill a lot of bombers with it, so this base will be defended for a little while.
You know, I think that's probably a net win for Gandalf, because he just took out all that air force really just for a couple missile turrets and a couple fabbers that he can just rebuild right there.
Yeah, but we see more scampers coming in from the south side there, and they're going to probably spell the killing blow, I think, for that little base.
Is it the south side?
Moving
Yeah, I see it.
From Gunshin, we see next to the mountains, right next to Gandalf's base, he's got some pelters planned. And then going to get up a laser turret to defend against units to try to destroy it. And you can see with the particular choke point that we have there, the pelters will be really, really useful.
Yeah, the new high arc on those pelters should be very effective as well. All those units are, he's got a set of docks coming into the proxy now that you pointed out a minute ago, and he's got a set of docks to the south of the main base of Gandalf. So he's got kind of a two-pronged attack, and all those fighters are on the ground getting killed by the docks. Really a big loss for him here.
Yeah, that's pretty painful. He can't afford to lose any air units now, and losing just those fighters is going to put him even further behind in terms of the air war.
Actually, neither player are paying attention to that proxy base right now. He has the opportunity to take them, but he's not moving in. His attention's probably elsewhere, and you can see the docks are coming all the way behind the base of Gandalf. I'm not sure exactly where they're going.
Things are beginning to kick off now. We see Gunshin concentrating on a lot of T2 Eco, T2 Power and T2 Mechs, and I think that's where a lot of his micro is going, but we see Gandalf moving south with a large force of tanks, and they're currently being harassed by bombers trying to weaken out their forces before they get in close. We actually see the scampers looking like they're either going to go for a flank or immediately into Gandalf's base.
Yes, I see.
Heading straight towards his base. I think the bombers will do the work against tanks just fine.
Yeah, the bombers are going to, as the tanks spread out a little bit, those Tier 1 bombers are going to have a little bit harder time hitting them, but it's really going to be a problem with all those docks moving into Gandalf's base. He does have a set of tanks coming in for the fight now, and his commander's moving forward. He's got some backup from the fabbers. He lost a good portion of his tank force there. The commander is moving forward to fight, and he's going to have to pull back those docks. That's a good move to pull back. He's got one Pelter there as well. Pelters, of course, a bit different with the new build as well. Pelters have a more higher arc that gives them a little bit more flight time for the missiles, which makes them very effective against stationary targets, but not as effective against the moving targets at all. And bots are the best at dodging those.
Scampers coming in from the north side of Gandalf's base, and all of those tanks have been destroyed. They managed to destroy a couple of mechs, but ultimately there was a lot of metal that went to waste. And you can see how losing the air war really will put you far behind. However, we actually see in Gandalf's proxy base, it hasn't been destroyed. He's managed to hold on for it all this time.
Yeah, he does. He does have one docks there harassing him, but I think he's going to get some guys out. Really, he just needs to get some attention over there because he's actually fabricating another fabrication bot as opposed to any sort of force to fight that problem. And there's a proxy base just to the west of that is the left, that's been made by Gunshin to kind of reinforce and continue to harass that proxy base of Gandalf.
Air war's still going on to the right of Gandalf's base as he sends in bombers to get rid of that Pelter, and now Gunshin coming in with his fighters exchanging fire, and we see a lot of fighters go down for both sides. Gandalf may have actually made a little bit of air superiority here. It looks like he's got slightly more air units for the moment.
He did manage to fend that off. There's a cluster of air units just to the southeast of his base and some back in his main base, so he does have some air force to follow up with.
Gunshin has a T2 air factory finished, and it looks like he's about to start pumping out bombers any second as he sends in some Scampers and Levelers flanking them. Gets rid of that T1 radar, which is very, very useful at this stage if we look from Gandalf's point of view here. And he suddenly lost sight of all these units that were coming in.
Yeah, I think that one thing that these guys may need to adjust to is the presence of the Tier 2 anti-air towers. Like, if you get some flak turrets up, those are very strong and do splash damage, so when a cluster of air comes in, you can really fight back that way. That would be a super effective way to kind of hold back some of this air battle.
Gunshin has to pull back here. He's going to use the range of his levelers. A whole load of engineers moving in to assist Gandalf's commander, so he's probably just going to tank it with his commander, just using engineers to repair rather than the combat engineers.
Gunshin's army mix, I really like it. He's got like the very mobile bots. He's also got the levelers, but he's also using some of the pounders, which is the tank artillery units, and the tank artillery units can do really quite a bit of damage from afar. Here's kind of a very important fight. His commander is going right up into the mix of the army, but all the fabbers are right there.
He's losing his engineers. He's losing his engineers.
Yeah, the engineers are gone. That's super big.
He's going to be on the defensive now, running away. He's going to manage to steamroll through here for Gunshin, and full retreat now. More engineers coming in from the base to repair that commander.
I think this is really just a tipping point for Gunshin's superior economy coming into play. If you look around the world, there's like quite a bit of map control from Gunshin.
Coming in at the commander. 6 hits down. The commander takes him down to 60% of his life. All those T2 bombers get taken down by the Air Force, though.
That was a good run to try to take out the commander in one shot. He did have a lot of air to support it, but he's still on the back foot here with that huge stream of units coming to his base and very little ground support for Gandalf.
Yeah, Gunshin making a wise decision here. He doesn't chase down the commander. He just moves straight into the base, finishes off the eco, and wins the game that way rather than chasing down the commander and losing all his units.
Yeah, that's very smart.
Called there by Gandalf.
And there's the surrender explosion. That was a good game.
GG. So, Gunshin versus Godder in the next game. That will be definitely a great semi-final. Really looking forward to that. I presume we'll start pretty soon.
Yes, so we can pull out the patch tournament picture again here, and you can see that we're covered down here for Gunshin versus Gandalf. That'll move Gunshin up, and as you pointed out, Gunshin versus Gade, and we got Orbnet, and we still have yet to see whether Matiz or Mered is going to be facing him.